Alright, so if we go to the rankings right here, we're going to first analyze the overall. So we're going to go down here, we're going to go on to the Kanto Cup, and as you see here, guess who took over? You know, this is pretty funny, but the fact that these two literally, oh my gosh. So, remember those few changes I was talking about? They come in the form of XL Pokemon. So XLs really did flip several metas actually. It's actually had a blanket effect across almost every single meta out there. Now, the thing about it is, and the funny part is, if you have a Lickitung XL built for the Retro Hub, guess what? It absolutely dominates again in the Kanto Cup. Lickitung XL is an absolute destroyer of worlds. What makes Lickitung XL so good is that, you know, like, when you take out Steel types, etc., Hypno, Psychic types reign supreme. However, guess what Psychic types are weak to? Lickitung, because it has Lick. Now, Lickitung isn't completely impervious. As you see here, it is pretty susceptible to the Wigglytuff 2-Shield strat, as well as things like Snorlax, etc. Basically, things that resist Lick will give you a little bit of a hard time. Lickitung, as thick as it is also susceptible of getting the unholy crappy out of it, as in things like Dragonair can Dragon Breath you down. The keyword is can. Lickitung XL is still obscenely thick and obscenely powerful, and gives you a hard time if you face one. But as you see here, it absolutely gives the Psychic meta a run for its money, as well as the Water Archetype meta, or the Ice Water Hybrid tanks in Lapras and Dugong, just because it has Power Whip. Power Hit hits really hard, and Lickitung overall, it's no surprise that it takes the #1 slot in Kanto Cup. Led behind it is the incredibly thick and oh so merciful, not really merciful, more merciless, Chansey XL. You will hate your life if you encounter one of these things, because literal thing is, this thing is literally built to annoy the unholy hell out of you, but it's actually really good. Chansey Hyper Beam, or Blissey Hyper Beam, is actually, I was one of the originators of just using it as kind of like a meme, but lo and behold, since the preseason and then like 8 seasons later, this thing is an absolute destroyer of worlds. She will take your elo, she will destroy your money, and she will take your Stardust. As you see here, Chansey XL ranks so high for several reasons. It is obscenely bulky. Not only that, if you look over here, it actually beats a lot of interesting meta picks, and if you do happen to Hyper Beam through shields, or get the Psychic debuff, it can be obscenely annoying to face. Of course, the advantage of this is that, compared to Lickitung XL, Chansey XL does lose to things like Alolan Marowak, Dugong, Machamp, Victory Belt, etc. just because it is not that, even though it's super bulky, it just doesn't do a lot of damage over time. However, because of its ability to essentially just defeat a whole bunch of unique matchups like Wigglytuff and Snorlax, things that Lickitung can't even beat, it takes the cake as the actual #2 with only a 0.1% behind as far as overall score rating. But, in my opinion, it's justified to be here. Just because of its ability to be incredibly bulky, deal a ton of chip damage, you can use Chansey to sponge a lot of things and pivot out, and run your clock, so it's really versatile. And also, because of the top 2 above, Alolan Muck officially takes the cake as one of the... It was already insanely powerful before, however, Alolan Muck does resist Lick from Lickitung, and it is just an incredibly beastly mon. Obscenely powerful, really great across the board, mostly powerful as a charger. Alolan Muck, because of its dark typing, even because Psychics are so powerful, that and Kanto, like, Alolan variants are allowed, Alolan Muck destroys the Cantonian, a majority of the Cantonian meta just because of its ability to have Dark Pulse and Sludge Wave. Being one of the few dark types allowed in this cup. Actually, I think it's like the only one allowed. Quote me if I'm wrong. But anyways, actually no. Alolan Persian's a dark type. Anyways, yes, that's correct. So one of the few. So Alolan Muck is a beast mon, taking out the... essentially sludge waving the fairy archetype to death, as well as just being an absolute nightmare for the ghost and psychic archetype with Dark Pulse and Snarl. So it's really freaking good, and I've used it a lot as a save switch. Many of you probably have used it as a save switch, etc. So that's what really flipped around this kind of conundrum. Lickitung and Chansey did really kind of like flip a little bit of the thing upside down. Now you kind of have to expect them to run around that, or our good old buddy Machamp is gonna take the reins and start punching everything to death. However, Machamp E, as powerful as it is, things like Hypno are still viable for the Kanto Cup, which is why Hypno right here is still ranked at number 4. Incredibly powerful as a safe switch, overall generalist, and it essentially just annihilates everything. As you see, it is now the number 1 safe switch. Actually, I think it was the number 1. Actually, I think it is the most powerful safe switch from before. Still, to this day, just because of its general ability to just cover a whole bunch of things. And even though Lickitung does beat Hypno with Focus Blast is an option. But again, that's the overall rankings. Other than that, everything else remains largely insane. The reason why Snorlax kind of took a jump in the rankings is literally everything that can kill Lickitung and Chansey, Snorlax goes up. And it's just, as you see here, it kind of flipped. It didn't really flip it too much. Things like Alolan Marowak, etc. are still very powerful, but as you see, like, these ratings aren't too far apart. So what I'm trying to say here is that, yes, Lickitung, Chansey kind of did flip the meta a little. Like, it didn't really flip the meta, considering the fact that not everyone's going to have a Lickitung XL or Chansey, but just be aware that you're probably going to expect to see them all now a lot more than I would say, like, Hypno, etc., just because Lickitung is really that powerful as an XL. That doesn't say that old things you haven't used won't work. So if you have something that worked that's old, again, it still works really well. Another thing that really takes the cake here is Alolan Grimer XL. Wait, what? Yep. Alolan Grimer XL is a very interesting mon. It actually beats Hypno with Crunch and Poison Jab. It's actually pretty insane. It may not be as powerful as the Alolan Muk version, or the A-Muk version, just because of spam ability, but as you see here, it does rank in the top 10. It's actually pretty freaking hilarious that it's so strong, but as you see here, an Alolan Grimer XL will actually do incredibly well in this cup. Now, the thing about it is, yes, it's level 50, so you're going to spend a pretty penny if you want to use it. However, if you want a rank 1 at level 50, it is 10, 15, 14. So it's something for fun. If you do see one, don't laugh at it, though, because this thing is actually pretty dang good. Unless you have one of its counters in Machamp, Dragonair, Ice Water Hybrids, or Snorlax. Alright, now, as you see here, we do have the leads. So the lead portion, as you see, Lickitung has taken over as the most powerful lead. Not really surprised, right? The thing about Lickitung XL as a lead is it can either break shields for you, or you could pivot out really easily. And with its absolute thick bulk, it can do a lot of things in the closing scenario. So that's why you see Alolan Graveler, which was already really good to begin with, as far as the Kanto Cup goes, just because of its ability to break shields, etc. But because of how it kind of flipped around a little bit, Graveler was already a powerful lead, but now it's taken over as the number 2 lead, which not too much of a drop off. So you'll see how when one mon can kind of shift things a little bit. I wouldn't say, like, Lickitung shifted the meta too heavily just because of accessibility, i.e. not everyone has one. Other spots you will see will probably be good, but you might see a lot more Machamps running around. But the reason why Machamp is still dangerous is because of Hypno. Hypno is incredibly powerful. It essentially deletes Shadow Champ in, I believe, 5 or 6 confusions? Even less, probably. And it can actually take out Alolan Marowak with a Shadow Balls. Hypno is so powerful in this cup because of its ability to have so much coverage and its ability to pressure. It's also somewhat bulky, but as you see, number 3. So the leads did flip around a little bit. If you notice from before, at least from what I remember, Alolan Marowak was a lot stronger, a lot higher on the totem pole, but because Lickitung XL does beat Alolan Marowak pretty convincingly, Alolan Marowak did take a little bit of a dip, and there's just too many things that actually can handle Alolan Marowak, which is why you see Snorlax take a little bit of a rise above Alolan Marowak. But you just see how XLs can kind of just put the meta together. So as you see, Lickitung and Alolan Graveler being very, very powerful. Well, Alolan Graveler was already a powerful lead. You've probably seen it a lot. I did as well. But Lickitung XL definitely did make a huge impact. As far as switches goes, Hypno is still the most powerful safe switch in the Kanto Cup. Hypno is just so bulky, like I mentioned before, bulky, versatile, and the fact that Shadow Ball can nuke so many of Hypno's weaknesses makes it incredibly powerful. And Lickitung XL also has made its way into a very powerful switch as well. Lickitung is basically an incredibly powerful generalist, as you see here, but there's also a surprise. Raichu! Yes, Raichu is pretty dang powerful. So the thing about Raichu is because Raichu, regular Raichu, not Alolan Raichu, can actually beat Lickitung in the one shield if you blast it with wild charges. However, don't get too confident because this is what happens. If you look over here, this is what happens. Lickitung can still beat you in the 2s and the 1s. So it can still beat you per se, but it's still a very rough matchup. So the keyword is can. Keyword is can. But yes, Raichu can break shields with Wild Charge, etc. In my opinion, Mew is kind of the better option just because of your ability to keep your opponent guessing more. But as you see here, the safe switches kind of took a little bit of a flip. The keyword is kind of just because Hypno is still incredibly powerful. Amok is still an incredibly powerful safe switch as well for the mere fact it's able to beat Hypno, Alolan Marowak, etc. As far as closers go, in the closing scenarios, closer did flip a little bit, as in just because Shadow Mewtwo is still, well, it didn't really flip that much. Shadow Mewtwo is still incredibly powerful as a safe switch. The only problem is you do get destroyed, like, I wouldn't say destroyed by Lickitung, but Lickitung can tank a couple of Shadow Side Strikes, so just keep that in mind. The thing that did change is Chansey. So Chansey actually closes out as one of the most powerful options just because of it's so bulky that it's essentially going to Hyper Beam / Psychic you to death. So it makes this to where literally if you look to the right, the water meta is actually like you want to Dugong or something just so that you could take out a Chansey in the closer. Or rather, you'll have to have a contingency plan against normal types. Not saying that you can't bully your way through them, but because of Lickitung and Chansey XL's bulk, you're gonna have a little bit of it's gonna be pretty annoying for you to sit there and just watch your try to Dragon Breath the Chansey down and see the bar move really, really slowly. So do expect to see a little more. Also, Pidgeot is like kind of like as you see here, Pidgeot wasn't in the top 10 from before, but now it is just because of the fact that you do have a very strong, like, it does well against Lickitung, and unless you're against, like, an Alolan Raichu or an Ice-type like Lapras, etc., you can still possibly beat them if you're able to. However, because Alolan Marowak is probably going to get phased out a little bit, Pidgeot's biggest strength was to essentially just wall Alolan Marowak. However, because of the shift a little bit with Lickitung XL's dominance, I don't foresee seeing a lot more Pidgeot being able to utilize that strategy. And that's all, guys. I hope you guys enjoyed the video. Again, things like Lickitung XL and XL Chansey. I wouldn't say XL Chansey so much, but you definitely might see Lickitung XL running rampant a little bit. That or a lot more Machamp just to counter the Machamp, just to, like I said, just to counter the, like, Lickitung and Chansey, like, meta. Now, it's kind of tricky just because the thing about Machamp can beat Alolan Muck, and it can also beat a lot of other things, surprisingly, as long as it has shields, etc., or if it has an energy advantage. So Shadow Champ isn't a bad idea to run in your team if you're thinking about, oh, I hate Lickitung XL, I want to punch it to death. It's not a bad idea. Just be aware that it may be a lot of Hypnos running around. Hypno is still the most powerful safe switch, and you could still probably see plenty of them running around in the Kanto Cup for Season 7. So just keep that in mind. But running a Machamp isn't a bad idea if you're thinking about or building a team around one. Again, the meta did shift a little bit, but that's depending on whether or not you're going to see a lot of Lickitung XL, because Lickitung XL and Chansey XL, as you see here, really have kind of flipped things upside down. Anyways, I hope you guys reach your goals for the season. Kanto Cup is unranked, so you will not be able to rank up during this time. This is a good time to get some practice in, some free practice in, and to get prepared for the next season. So, I will be releasing my top 5 Kanto Cup teams before Kanto Cup starts next week, just in case you want to take a look at that, and hopefully it helps you guys out a lot, along with this video. So, again, good luck on you guys. Go Battle League sets. I know if you did reach your goals, don't worry. There's always going to be another season where you can reach Legend. Seriously, making Legend more than once. Yes, you could pull it out, but it's not really like, you know, you make it once. Unless you're going after the leaderboard, which is controversial as hell anyways. It's what it is. So, hopefully, my hope for the next season is that things are fixed just a little bit, because we can't really have high expectations, because you know what happens when we have high expectations with Niantic. They just break everything, or if they insert something new, you can bet your money that they're probably going to break the game in some way, shape, or form. Anyways, good luck on your guys' Go Battle League sets. If you haven't done so yet, please hit the subscribe button. It's onto your bottom right. All you have to do is just hover your mouse over it. there's this little box on the bottom right of the screen of the video. Just hover your mouse over it, just a little bit, right there, and then poof, you'll see the little box that pops up that says subscribe. Just click on that, and poof, you're subscribed. It's free. It helps me out the channel a lot, and I really do appreciate your support. Good luck on you guys. Go Battle League sets, and good luck. And yeah. Kanto Cup is like, yeah, it's coming up pretty. Yeah, actually, it's coming. I think it's tomorrow. Yeah. It's coming pretty fast. I better finish that video. Yep. Good luck on your guys. Go Battle League sets, and I'll see you guys on the next video.
Ciao!